Good evening, I am Andrew Yeager. I'm a certified specialist of wine here at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in scenic Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm here at my home away from home doing a staff training video on the 2012 Duckhorn Cabernet from Napa Valley. Now, I may be a little bit biased, but I do think a Ruth's Chris filet and a Napa Valley Cabernet like Duckhorn is about the best marriage of a meal that you can have anywhere in the world. That said, the research on guest satisfaction is conclusive. Guests who enjoy a nice glass of wine with their dinner report higher overall satisfaction ratings. They compliment more, they complain less, and they give much higher gratuities. So we are here training our staff on how to become well-versed in presenting a wine like Duckhorn, which is our high-end Cabernet. Now, I am very big on studying the tasting notes of the winemaker. And why? Because no one knows the wine better than the winemaker. So, as an example, assuming you've questioned the guest properly and determined that they do want a nice Cabernet for dinner, you can use the tasting notes to build a sales pitch that is effective for it. Example, Mr. Smith, our high-end Cabernet is the 2012 Duckhorn from Napa Valley. Now, this wine is perfectly balanced. It is elegant and an exceptional expression of a Cabernet from the Napa Valley floor. The aromas of this wine are dried cherries, cedar cigar box, and warm, rich cocoa. Flavors of this Cabernet: dense blackberry, luscious plum, and currant. And of course, Duckhorn is a name that has been synonymous with excellence in Napa Valley for 40 years. You cannot go wrong with this Cabernet. I would highly recommend it. Now then, do I personally get all of those aromas and flavors off of this glass of wine? Not necessarily. But the point is that those descriptors come straight from the tasting notes. And because they come straight from the tasting notes, they are credible. You can use that to build your sales pitch. In front of the table, we refer to this as the power of suggestion, because what it is doing, it is engaging the guest's senses into the wine. It is raising their perception of that wine, whereas they begin to imagine the dried cherries. They begin to imagine a cedar cigar box and warm, rich cocoa. When you use terms like supple and luxurious with a silky, velvety finish, you are creating desire. And that's what we are trying to do at the table, is to get someone to desire the wine as a perfect pairing to their Ruth's Chris filet. Now then, one thing to keep in mind is credibility is king. Once again, that's why we go back to the tasting notes. The better you know the tasting notes, the better your sales pitch is going to be. And the better you know the tasting notes, the more expressive you are going to be in describing that wine, and it's going to be more effective. Invariably, you're going to get guests who are going to say, why is it silky and luxurious? Why is it so lavish? If you know the tasting notes, then you can say, this wine was aged in Tronqué French oak for 16 months, so it is very well polymerized. If they ask, why does it have such dense, rich berries? You can say, this is Cabernet that was grown on the Napa Valley floor, which is some of the best terroir in the entire world, and it is produced by Napa royalty. So once again, if you have a server who has an excellent knowledge of the wine and pours their heart and passion into that wine, that sales pitch is very effective. So for today's tasting, the biggest things we want to take away are, number one, read the tasting notes. No one knows the wine better than the winemaker. Number two, use the power of suggestion. The more expressive you can be in describing the wine, the more effective your sales pitch is going to be. And then third, always remember, credibility is king. The more calm and composed you can be in describing this wine to a guest, the more effective your sales pitch is going to be. And there's nothing wrong with being confident about serving a Ruth's Chris filet and a Napa Valley Cabernet. You are, in fact, dealing the guest a royal flush. It is going to be a great experience for them and a rewarding experience for you as the server.